The black and white photographs from the Great War show young men with hollowed-out eyes, faces marked by exhaustion deeper than fear. In the trenches, sleep was a rare, fragile thing, snatched in muddy dugouts under constant threat. Soldiers battled not just the enemy, but their own desperate need for rest. Nights were broken by sentry duty and sudden raids, days by endless labour and the ceaseless roar of artillery. Even in moments of quiet, the mind could not relax. Bodies remained tense, nerves frayed. Lice, rats, and the ever-present damp made true rest impossible. Chronic exhaustion dulled reflexes, impaired judgment, and made fatal mistakes more likely. High command demanded constant readiness, blind to the reality of men barely able to stay awake. This disconnect between expectation and reality shaped the suffering and the outcome of the war. Exhaustion became a weapon in World War I, enforced by routines like the dreaded Stand To, forcing every soldier awake before dawn and at dusk. These rituals, combined with sentry rotations and night raids, guaranteed chronic sleep deprivation. The logic was tactical constant vigilance to prevent surprise attacks. But the cost was immense. Fatigue dulled senses, slowed reactions, and made men vulnerable. Ironically, the alertness Stand To was meant to ensure was undermined by the exhaustion it created. Soldiers became automatons, their minds and bodies breaking down. Shell shock and psychological collapse soared, misunderstood by leaders who saw men as replaceable parts. The war of attrition was waged not just against the enemy, but against the soldiers themselves. World War II's Blitzkrieg demanded relentless speed, faster than any human could endure unaided. Enter Pervitin, a methamphetamine pill issued by the millions to German troops. With Pervitin, soldiers stayed awake for days, fueling the rapid advances that stunned the Allies. But the drug's effects were double-edged. Euphoria and aggression gave way to crashes, addiction, and psychosis. Men took reckless risks, their judgment clouded by chemical bravado. When the high faded exhaustion hit with devastating force, sometimes in the middle of battle. The German command accepted these costs for short-term gains, sacrificing long-term health for immediate victory. This marked a new era. Armies now used chemistry to push soldiers beyond human limits, with dire consequences. The battlefield was no longer just physical, it was pharmacological. The assault on sleep left deep psychological scars. In World War I, shell shock shattered minds. Tremors, anxiety, and emotional numbness became common. Exhaustion made soldiers ineffective, their units' combat power crumbling. The cycle of fear, labour, and sleeplessness hollowed out even the strongest spirits. In World War II, stimulants like Pervitin added paranoia and hallucinations to the mix. Chemical highs led to erratic violence. The inevitable crash brought depression and despair. Veterans carried these invisible wounds for life: insomnia, nightmares, and what we now call PTSD. The link between sleep, exhaustion, and mental health was barely understood, leaving many to suffer in silence. War's psychological toll was as real as any wound. World War II brought the terror of sleeplessness to civilians. Nightly air raids forced families into shelters, turning rest into a rare, anxious luxury. Workers arrived at factories already exhausted, productivity and safety plummeting. The government recognized the danger. An exhausted home front was a strategic liability. Anxiety, irritability and frayed nerves became the norm. Children's development suffered. The bombing campaign aimed to break morale by destroying the ability to live and sleep normally. The war was fought not just in the skies, but in the minds of the sleepless millions below. The Korean War combined brutal combat with deadly cold. Sleep became a risk, not a refuge. Sub-zero nights meant stopping could mean freezing to death. Soldiers fought exhaustion and hypothermia. Fluid front lines and night attacks left no time or place for rest. At Chosan Reservoir, Marines battled for days without sleep, their bodies failing from cold and fatigue. Disorientation and collapse became common. Combat effectiveness crumbled. The US military could no longer ignore the catastrophic effects of sleep loss. After Korea, research into sleep and performance became a priority. Sleep was finally recognized as a critical resource, not a luxury. The lessons of Korea changed military thinking for good. Across the 20th century, exhaustion shaped wars as much as weapons or tactics. Early on, sleep loss was seen as weakness. Later, it was chemically suppressed at great cost. The Korean War forced a reckoning. Sleep is a biological necessity, not a matter of discipline. Modern militaries now manage sleep like ammunition, understanding its impact on performance and resilience. The lesson is clear. Technology and strategy matter, but wars are won by sustaining the humans who fight them. The hollow eyes of exhausted soldiers remind us. The human element is always the most vital and the most vulnerable. The history of exhaustion is the hidden history of war.